welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I edit my photos on Photoshop. If you missed part 1 to this video where I went on the photo shoot and showed you how I did all that stuff, you can hit the I at the top and it will take you to that video. This is part 2 where I'm going to show you how I edit and how I fit them to my theme on Instagram. If you guys have a theme already or you want to start a new theme, then you can learn a few tips or tricks here. I'm going to be showing you how I crop my photos, how I sharpen them, how I kind of add some depth of field, some light, shadows, colours, things like that. Yeah, let's move to Photoshop. Alright, so I've gone ahead and imported all of the files onto my PC. I take about 5 photos in each location, so I'm just going to go through and pick out my favourites. And as you can see, I do unintentionally take some out of focus. It's a little bit of a habit of mine, and maybe it's something to do with my vision. But as you can see, that one's way crisper, so I would completely delete that one. So I like to create a new folder within here. I'm just going to call it best, so I keep all of the best shots in there. So it's this one. I'm gonna drag and drop it into best. I'm just gonna go through them really quickly and pick out some of my favorites. So in this folder are all the usable photos. I know it doesn't look like much at all. Some of these I feel like they don't really need to be edited that much. Like these two, I think the colors on them are very sharp and great, and the focus here looks amazing. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do a very simple edit on this one. I use Photoshop to edit my pictures, but there are a lot of free apps on your phone which you could use as well. So first I'm going to start off by duplicating my layer, and then I'm going to crop it a little bit. I feel like there's too much dead space up here, especially if you're viewing this on your phone, on Instagram. It's going to be a little bit hard to read, hard to see. It's always nice to take a little zoom out, because if you're viewing it on a phone, it's probably going to be about this size unless you enlarge it. Next I'm going to zoom in on the pet and then use this patch tool right here to get rid of any areas that don't look great. So you can see there's a blob of purple right here. The patch tool is normally used as like a skin smoothing technique, but I like to use it on my pets, so circle around the dark area and then plonk it over. There's no more mark there, so I'm going to use it on the small areas right here. There are like some little white specks, some dark marks right here. Just move it and drag it over into an area that's very similar next to it, and there's a dark spot right here on the white. And there we go. And then I'm going to go in with some dodging and burning. So I'm going to start with the burn. Burning areas makes them darker, so I'm just going to go in on the eyes, make them a little bit sharper. Maybe on the eyelashes a bit and around the side, just to make them pop a little bit more and give it a little bit more life. I also like to make the eyes match a little bit, so as you can see, this one on the left is a little bit more light than the one on the right. So now I'm going to dodge them a little bit, add a little bit more light to the white areas, so like the little highlights, and this side I'm going to add a bit more light here. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of darkness to this side of the face because I feel like it got a little bit washed out, so I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger using the tool up here and just go around the side a bit and the top. I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight on the cheekbones too. There we go. And a little bit on the chin. Nice. I think she's perfect. Now you're done fixing the picture itself, it's time to adjust the lighting. I'm going to adjust the brightness and contrast and the color balance. So starting with the brightness, I think the brightness here is quite good to go, so I don't think I'm going to be messing with that too much. Bring it up to about a 3, and then the contrast I'll bring up a little bit too. If you go too hard on the contrast, it looks a bit overcooked, but if you go too light, it looks a bit washed out. So try and go for like a good in-between. Don't go too wild with the contrast, I would recommend. Now I'm going to go in with the color balance. For this one I like to eyeball it and see what just kind of looks appealing to you personally. I feel like this picture needs a bit more of a blue tone because it will match the pet's eyes. I want to bring a bit of the yellow in for the leaves. But now I've added a lot of green, I don't feel like the colour of the flower here itself has popped at all. So I'm going to go in again with another colour balance and focus just on the colour of the flower here. So I want to boost up that purple colour, maybe a little bit of the blue in there or a red. Oh, the red looks lovely, so I'll boost the blue down a little bit. So make sure on the second colour balance layer, and I'm going to use the eraser tool, make it real big and also make it feathered. And it's going to rub away any of the purple I don't want, so anywhere that isn't touching around the flowers. Alright, and I think this picture's pretty much ready to go. So on the left here we have the original and on the right we have the edit. But now I'm going to work on a photo that I feel like could use quite a bit of work. And that is this one right here. I love how this photo is put together, but I feel like the lighting is a bit wrong. It's very cool toned. I want to brighten it up and make it a little bit more exciting. I'm not going to bother cropping this one because I love how it is already. But I'm going to zoom in and do a quick dodge and burn. Now I've done that, let's mess with the brightness and contrast. I feel like this picture is a little bit dark, but it's also very cool tone, so I'm going to boost the brightness up to about here I kind of like, and I'm also going to boost the contrast up slightly as well. Now we're going to move on to the colour balance, which is going to be a bit of a challenge for this one because I want the flowers to be very yellow and pop, but I also don't want that to take away from how pink and pretty she is. So I'm just gonna kind of roll with it. Let's have a look. I'm gonna do the flower area first, I think. Add a little bit of a red tone, a little bit of a green, and then move the yellow up a lot. I'm just gonna go back and play a bit with the colors again now that I've changed the color of the pet back to normal. I kind of want the background to have a little bit of colour as well, so now I'm just going in and making the background look like the right shade of green that I want. You can also go ahead and use the blur tool on the duplicate layer if you want to add a bit more depth of field to your image if it looks a bit flat, but I think mine's pretty good to go. On the left we have the original image and here is our edit on the right, and I really prefer this image. It definitely pops a lot more, but I'm going to quickly go through some photos that I have edited in the past. I think this is one of the biggest edits I did during the winter time. The photo looks very yellow tone, doesn't look very wintry, and I don't know, the snow just looks like it's just falling really quickly. It doesn't look like a little movie moment really. So I decided to go ahead and edit in extra snowflakes. These are just copy pastes from like this one and other tiny ones. And there's a lot more snowflakes which look like they're kind of floating down. These are all drawn on or copy pasted. I used the patch tool to kind of copy over a few snowflakes like this and that. Even though it's a bit faked, I think it looks way better this way. Here are some of the other photos that are on the branch, and you can see they're all very out of focus as I was trying to throw some snow down on her. It was a bit of a mess. This is another photo I really loved and did pretty good on my Instagram feed. As you can see, the original I wasn't really that fond of. I didn't like how it was placed, so I decided to zoom it in and put her to the side. And that frame really worked well with these coloured flowers in the side. I boosted the yellow colour on the flower and the background to be more green. This was just such a simple edit and it worked really well, so sometimes doing a simpler route can work a lot better. But if you're not really into outdoor photography like I am, I've only ever shot indoors once, and that was for this little Valentine's Day shoot. I tried to go for a simple vibe, but I might work on it more during the winter when the weather isn't as great next year. But when I edited this, I definitely boosted up the brightness so the blanket looked like an interesting texture. Speaking of textures, I really like the textures from the shoot on these leaves. They were kind of fluffy and I loved the way they showed up on the camera. So if you're shooting outdoors, try and find some interesting like flowers you've never seen before and try and work with them. But I think that's it for this tutorial. If I ever switch up my photos a bit more, then I will totally do another tutorial, but I like to keep it simple and that's pretty much it for me. Let me quickly show you my Instagram feed at the moment. It's kind of a bad point to show you, but I am trying to do like 3 of each coloured, so it would be yellow, 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 the next ones are going to be purple, 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 and so on. I try to stick with the flower colours, but the other thing you can see about my feed is I always go for a horizontal photo and then a vertical, so it interchange, and I like the way it looks. Sometimes I want to switch up my theme, but I feel like this is a very easy theme to go with. You don't really have to go out of your way and match things up perfectly. Anyway, this is my feed. If you want to check it out, ciao, that is my Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed these photos, please feel free to check them out over on my Instagram. Let me know in the comments down below what was your favourite photo, put the little timestamp. And yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, comment down below, editing pro, and I'll be sure to heart your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!